What's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah, an ugly first slate a little bit for me. And I didn't
Yes,
play much.
quite ugly for me as well.
It just didn't work out right.
And that's just the best way to put it.
But
Yeah.
we move on. I actually had a good slate last night. I just cashed in every lineup basically that I played. So
Hang on, let me close the door. Hold on a second.
that's all right. But I'm ready to get into it. We got Pingalore. What's up, my man? Good to see you in chat. Good to see Scott McCarty in here. And this is, it's funny because we've talked about how annoying baseball slates can be on small slates, but I distinctly remember quite a few winners, including some of your sheets that we've done very well on these small slates. So the name of the game is a little bit, get different and find what we're most comfortable with. And it's an interesting, just overall slate because the pitching, I don't expect anybody. I mean, look, of course, Gaussman always has a ceiling. Morton has a ceiling to some extent, and if weird things happen, Kershaw has a ceiling. Mackenzie Gore has a ceiling. There's a lot of guys, Chris Sale, who could put up big games, but mostly I feel like you're looking at like 15 to 20 points from a lot of your pitchers, no matter what, which has led me in the direction of spending down on pitching. I don't think that'll be completely unique, but I don't think double spending down is going to be as popular, and that's what I'm looking at right now, pitching wise. What are you doing pitching wise? What are your thoughts on this?
Reed Detmers is going to be 50% owned. So
you think he's going to be that much?
I do. So that's something you have to think about.
Well, he's not my main guy. I mean, he was like my sixth or seventh favorite pitcher.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean that's so. I have to tell you, I'm going to play a little Cincinnati, just for funsies. Mm-hmm. But I'll go through what I have. And again, for those of you that were not there, I encourage everybody to look at if you use SaberSim to watch our hour thing that we did today. Watch the SaberSim tutorial again because it's something for it's good for some people and it's not good for other people. So if you're using it as Bobby pointed out, as kind of like a basic way to just kind of like go through the slate and just see what the hell's going on. It's become a little more cumbersome. I mean, to say the least.
Yeah, but at least there is the one solution. And once I went through it, it actually started working fine enough for me. They should have both available. I guarantee you they will. So I actually think that the changes overall are going to be a very good thing. It's going to take.
Yeah, and then what I was going to say is that for people that actually are adept and have been using it to like for what it does, I think it's a really really good improvement. So. I encourage everybody to just play with it if you haven't yet. And if you have an issue, just post it in the SaberSim Discord channel. Yeah. In our Discord channel of SaberSim because Jordan and the guys monitor that. And so if there's a question that I can't answer, and I'm hopeless with remembering to check Discord anyway, then post it in there and they'll be they'll answer some of your questions.
Yeah, and try to tag either myself or Jordan if possible, because if it's me being tagged, I'm just going to alert Jordan. If you don't have Jordan's thing, I can actually find it real quick.
So to get back to what you were saying, I'm with you as far as the paying down for pitching.
Just can I finish that thought real quick, just so I can make sure they tag the right person? Because it's at SaberSim, so it's at SaberSim - Jordan is the person we want to address. Just one thing, because I think there's going to be things that come up. Sorry, Sheets, go ahead.
So I am going to be playing my top 3 owned on DraftKings are Mackenzie Gore. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do with Reed Detmers, and then the guy I'm going to lose. I didn't play Carlos Rodon, so I think I'll play Luis Severino.
Luis Severino is going to be look. It's just disgusting, but I'm doing it. You have a team with the second lowest run total on the slate and a pitcher who's the cheapest pitcher. It's just hard for me to imagine that other people aren't going to do that as well.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I hear you. That's so basically what I've got for pitching right now, and I'm trying to rebuild one of my lineups because I thought it'd be fun to stack the Dodgers and Braves. I understand they're going to have some ownership, but it's kind of an interesting stack. Like if you double stack them, it's like how many people can actually find ways to do it the right, and get it right or whatever, So I'm actually okay with the idea of double stacking them. In that case, I actually do just in all honesty have some. My main lineup right now is Severino and or Kitty. I'd like to move that up to Dean Kremer, but I'm very okay with taking a shot on Urquidy. Basically, what happens with him, and people who game log watch, so they're using a 6-man rotation in Houston. This is really important. So when you see Urquidy's, and this is something I've fallen into at times in the past even, and I'm looking at why is he only pitching 2 innings and 5 innings here, and what's happening? Well, he's only starting. So basically, he's used as a middle reliever, for a couple innings when he's not starting. So if you follow his game log, it won't make him look as decent. I don't want to say good, like he's a good play, but it won't make him look as reasonable of a play as he actually is. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then we got Mike Carr in here asking, he said he was watching the SS video earlier, and he says, would you always, first of all, hi, Mike, would you always set a min salary? I'm trying to understand what he means. Do you know what he means by that?
Yes.
Like total salary, or does he mean
total salary?
Oh, yeah.
So what I found with using Saberson specifically with baseball, is that if you don't set a minimum salary, sometimes Saberson gets in the mood to leave like $5,000 on the table. And you don't know exactly when it's going to happen. And if you don't pay attention to when that happens, you might end up missing it and end up with lineups that you don't want. All right. So that's why I will set a minimum salary of, I'll give it a little bit of leeway. 49,000, I think, is more than reasonable,
Right.
And listen, depending on the slate, whatever it is, but I do that only with baseball, because as I mentioned, and I'll go over this again, what Saberson does is it really tries for upside and it tries for correlation. Okay. And what that ends up happening sometimes is when you get like a real cheap guy in a stack, all right, they will jam that guy in for the purposes of making it a 5-man stack. And sometimes, you'll get a $2,000 number 9 hitter who's going to project for 4 fantasy points, but they're going to treat him like he's Mike Trout, because he fits a 5-man stack. So, and you end up with those types of builds getting like way too much money left on the table. Remember, Saberson is not a human being. It's a program. Like, it's an algorithm. So it'll grind it without like really just, having a sanity check. So that's why when it comes to baseball, I will, with Saberson, do, even if it's a extended salary requirement, I will always do something with and if you do FanDuel, it's even more egregious. So I would definitely at least go 34,000, maybe even more on FanDuel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just
me. Yeah, no, I think that all makes a lot of sense. Every time I've ever done a script, I've always set a minimum salary. For example, if I was setting it for golf this week, I would leave up to 5,000 on the table. Like, I really would. I actually think that's the right way to try to play this tournament, just to go wild with it and see what you come up with. But in general, like when we talk NBA, me on this NBA, I'm very rigid in NBA with leaving anything on the table almost. You know what I mean?
Well, because you know what? Because the projections are so freaking tight. I mean, they always these guys always produce. It's
right, and they're based on a real thing. Like, unless you think there's going to be 5 20-point blowouts that night, which is very rare, you don't do something like that. So you know what I mean. So I do think that it really does depend on per sport. And Mike, we're happy to help you on each sport. But I what you said makes perfect sense to me for baseball. With that said, Sheets, what are you stacking up tonight exactly?
Okay, so right now my main stacks are going to be Cincinnati, Toronto, Washington, and the Mets. Those are my 4.
So I really, really like the Washington and the Mets idea as the get different things.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying it's hard to get different on these 6 gamers, and I think those are probably, I don't want to say the 2 most viable, but like the 2 that I thought about the most. The one that keeps coming back in my head is, should we be playing Houston? Chris Sale has not looked good. We know Houston's a tough matchup for everybody. They're no fun to take pictures against. They're not quite the same team they used to be, but they're still a very, very effective lineup. There is no, what's his name in the lineup? You have no their best hitter. Why can't I think of his name right now? Jordan Alvarez. And it's kind of an interesting decision because I actually see I could play like both sides of that because Sale is going to be lower owned. I don't think he's a bad idea, but he's looked bad enough to where I think Houston is probably my favorite get weird spot. I do like the Angel. I like the Dodgers, Angels, and Braves. That's nothing shocking to anybody. You know what I mean? Like maybe in a 14 gamer, I could have gotten away with a low owned, a low-ish owned Dodger stack here. I think the Dodgers are clearly the number one team. I don't think it's even close today. I think if you play this slate out enough times, the Dodgers are by far the best team, including the Braves. I don't usually say that. This is an incredible spot for the Dodgers with very mild. I wouldn't worry about the weather personally. But you got wind blowing out to center. It's 80 degrees in Cleveland. You got Xavier Curry. I don't know why the Dodgers only have a 5 run total. I feel like this should be a spot where they have like a 6+ run total. This is a really good spot. They did release not necessarily their best lineup, but they released a lot of righties against a righty. Which makes you feel a little bit better about the possible pinch hit risk. So I would be trying to get in all kinds of combinations of Dodgers. Maybe go 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, or maybe go 5, 7, 9, 1, 3, or something. There's just all different combinations that make a lot of sense to me. And I do think the bottom of the order gets a little bit forgotten. And I just personally prefer the Dodgers over the Braves today. But I do like both of those stacks. I also, in general, don't love stacking against Quintana. That's a big slate thing for me. And I even had a little conversation with Rich B in our Discord about, that maybe Quintana is the play. I actually think that's not even that far fetched. The only problem is the other guys in this price range I like a little bit better. But I think that kind of thinking makes sense for these kind of slates.
Yeah, I kind of like I don't want to say like Quintana, but I had him in one, and then at the end of the day, I just couldn't do it. I just went to Kramer,
Yeah. And then Jolly brought up my second favorite super get weird thing, and that would be to play Baltimore. Maybe not a 5-man, maybe use them as a secondary stack. But if you want to play the Dodgers and Braves, maybe Baltimore is the you run a 5-3 with the Dodgers and Baltimore. I don't see anybody playing Baltimore today. And Gausman was the pitcher for the Orioles. You know what I mean? I love to get the guys after their old pitchers. Anyway, so I do think Baltimore is an interesting stack option. It's funny to think like that Baltimore, like their run total is 4 today, and Gausman is the most. I mean, there are a lot of teams with a lot lower run total. I know there's a lot more into it and all that stuff with strikeouts, but I just think it's worth taking some shots there. Maybe again, not a full stack, but maybe a Baltimore 3-man with another 5-man, or maybe like a 4-2-2 that includes 2 Baltimores. That feels like the right spot to me. And I like everybody 1 through 7 for Baltimore. And if you're going to play a full stack, I like everyone 1 through 9. This is an interesting question from Mitchell Tyler. O'Hearn, I'll let you answer this one first. Ryan O'Hearn or Dalton Varsho as your last spot?
I mean, I don't know. I just don't like it. I just don't do it that way. I don't know.
I do like that question because I like Varsho. I actually think he's I think this is like pitch type wise. I did a little bit of research today, and I've always tried to keep up with guys like Varsho because he was an NL West guy, and now he's in Toronto. I thought he was going to have a huge year. He hasn't. But I do think this is a good matchup for him to potentially hit one out. So I like Varsho, and I don't think you need to play O'Hearn there. But I still like that Baltimore 3-man. At the same time, the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be overlooked a little bit, and no one really wants to play them. I'm not playing them, but I think they're kind of an interesting overlook on a 6-gamer. All right, let's see what else we got in here. Did you? What are you playing tonight? 50 in the lottery.
Yeah, and one in the walk off and the 250 also.
Yeah. Okay.
You playing Kershaw today?
No, I think that the Dodgers are really clear with what they're doing. It's a little too early to ramp him up, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think that he definitely could throw 85 pitches tonight. This would not surprise me a little bit. He's so good that maybe that's why I kept battling today. Like, do I take what I feel like are pretty safe 15 to 20 points from a pitcher that's definitely overpriced for trying to get that number? Or do I take the cheaper guys, hope they get somewhere near there, and then play the stacks, throw in all the bats that I want? MJ is telling you right now to claim your prize chest. Because do you know what he's talking about?
No.
So if you go to promos on DraftKings and claim your weekly prize.
All right, I'll do that in a second.
Okay.
Who do you play from the Braves? I mean, like, everybody's expecting.
No, you got Pilar batting second at 2,600.
Yeah, I got that.
And then it's so my early build, and I usually don't say them on air because I post them in Discord, but my first build of the day was, this is my stack, was I have Murphy, Acuna, and Pilar from the Braves, Freeman, Betts, Muncy, Kike Hernandez, and Miguel Rojas from the Dodgers. So I have a 5-3 Dodgers stack with Pretty and Severino. What could go wrong?
I don't think anything.
It's a little crazy though to play to like just try to jam in both popular stacks because people aren't going to do that. Maybe it's a little bit. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit on that. Maybe it's better for the 250 than it is for the 555. I don't know. Just thinking out loud here. It is interesting to see that the most picked on pitcher is going to be the fourth highest owned or third highest owned pitcher on the slate.
Who?
Severino.
Yeah.
But like I don't think that many people are going to play Urquidy, and literally no one in the world is going to play Quintana or Xavier Curry. I would say on this particular slate, like you should if you're playing more than, there's not a pitcher on this slate that I would cross off if I was playing more than 20 entries. I think every pitcher would be in play for me, including Xavier Curry against the Dodgers. But my favorites are going to be, unfortunately, Severino, unfortunately, Mackenzie Gore, Severino are my favorites, followed by Kremer. Then I get into Gaussman, Morton. I actually like Morton just as much as I like Gaussman, even though I don't mind your idea of the Mets stack.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting much out of my pitchers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Are we going too much on recency bias to not play the Yankees as a stack here?
I got some Yankees.
Okay. Because I think that was another one that like, okay, this is a spot where it feels like a perception, and it's real perception. I mean, they haven't been hitting, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean they can't hit like for a day. The Yankees aren't even that low owned, to be honest with you. So maybe I'm actually okay with skipping it. It's only if they were going to be really low owned that I was going to be into it. I'm just trying to look at the teams to see what you can get. Let's see Toronto, if they have anybody even who's going to be 20% owned. Or sorry, 10% owned. Yeah, it doesn't look like Toronto, I think, is going to be the over. Like, that's interesting to me. And I like Kremer. That's the problem. But if I wasn't going to, I'm going to add a Toronto stack for sure, at least one.
I got a bunch of that.
Ugh. Such a good team, such a good bullpen they have in Baltimore. It always worries me, but it's a small slate. What else are we going to do?
It is a small
and I just want to make this other thing that I'm going to keep pointing out, especially when we don't have like 15 gamers and stuff that we're doing. Just remember the Dodgers and Braves have little left to play for. Just remember the Orioles still have a ton to play for. Basically, everybody else in the American League has something to play for. The Dodgers and Braves are reaching the point where they really are not going to have a lot to play for very, very soon. Sure, it'd be nice to have the best, but it doesn't matter. They're not going to do that for the extra game. They're not going to, So you're going to see guys like be limited a little bit. Pitchers be limited. Hitters in blowouts are going to be pulled for the long guys. Guys like Kevin Pillar, who's batting second tonight, may not get pinch hit for just because the Braves don't need to put Rosario.
I am being called to dinner, so I am going to get out of here.
You get out of here. I'll finish up.
I'll see you in a little bit for the site meeting.
All right, sounds good, bud.